Hey, welcome to She Became Visible. I just have a quick message for you today. I wanted to get on here and share something with you. I think it's really, really important to share with my audience things that I hear and see that I think will be helpful in their lives. Now, when I'm talking to women in my demographic under my moniker, She Became Visible, what my purpose and what my message is for this podcast is encouraging women to self love, to initiate self care, and to really take back their autonomy and their lives, basically. And so when I see something that I feel is really inspiring, I want to share that with you. And that is what I'm doing today. So we're just going to do a quick little get together as if we're at a coffee shop somewhere and we're just chatting. And I want to talk to you today about resiliency. And I found this podcast with Kara Swisher, whom I love. She is brilliant. And you can just tell that she's just one of these kids that never studied, aced all her tests, probably got who knows what on the SAT, test. She's just brilliant. You can just tell. And she's quick. But I loved this particular interview because two things. Number one, it was done with Monica Lewinsky as the host, who I think is a great example of another woman with beautiful resiliency traits. And number two, Carol was very honest. And I love her self worth that she feels and she expresses. And I love that she doesn't if you were to say to her, I think you're brilliant, she'd go, yeah, I'm pretty smart. And I love that. I love that about her. So let me bring on, I'm going to be playing a little bit of the interview that she did with Monica Lewinsky to highlight what I'm talking about when I'm talking about resiliency. So let's get started.
It's going to smell my imposter syndrome. It was going to be
you're not
you.
an imposter is the thing.
I know,
if you were, it would be harder.
I
Okay, right there. Did you hear what she said right there? She said to Monica Lewinsky, because we all have, okay, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if we all have that, but I have experienced imposter syndrome where you don't feel like you're qualified, you're not good enough. And a lot of that comes from an environment where perfection was demanded. And so you're never perfect. No one's ever perfect. And so that's something that Monica Lewinsky is admitting, but Kara is cutting her off because she's saying you would not be who you are if you were an imposter. And I love that. Let's go on.
know, but it's that I think I'm an authentic person, but trying to find myself out there as an adult in different ways has been hard.
Sure, but look at your record. I mean, it's very easy. Why would I be hard on someone who is handle themselves with such grace?
Yeah. So, well, thank you.
Well, it's true. You made one mistake, big mistake, but you've acted better than pretty much everybody in this entire time. Never dropped a dime on people, never took advantage of it, did helpful things after. Like you moved to doing the bullying thing. You moved to doing things that were honorable and helpful rather than, you could have gone a lot of different directions. I always think of directions people could have gone in.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's brilliant. So she compliments Monica right away. And she says, look at how you acted. You made a mistake. She was a young woman and she made a mistake. And she said, but look what you did afterwards. You never dropped a dime on someone. And she immediately went into a movement to help stop bullying. That's what she did with this thing that happened to her. And Kara acknowledges this and relays this back to Monica so that she can see her worth. And I love that. And she's doing it so authentically.
I do interviews, choices they could have made and they didn't, which is,
And you were like the directions you were initially thinking about, was it foreign service?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you went into journalism.
Yes.
Right?
Not by choice. I mean, I wanted to be in the military, actually, but I was gay at the time. Speaking of Bill Clinton, don't ask, don't tell. Terrible.
Yeah.
I couldn't be in the military. And so it was a disappointment to me. I wanted to do that. And so
Okay, so right there, she's starting out by saying, as a young woman, her wish, her dream was to go into the military, but she was a gay woman at that time, and this was during the Clinton era where they initiated the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," and she knew that she would never be able to go in there. And you can see as you watch this interview what an amazing person she would have been in if she would have gotten to be in the military. Her way of went into journalism, and her research skills, her analogizing skills are excellent. There's so many different things she could have done, but she was disappointed in not being able to do what she really, really deep down in her heart thought she was meant to do.
Was impossible at the time. It was very different than it is now. And it may go back to that, by the way. But there certainly, it was if you were gay, even if you were out, it was a problem. And you couldn't be out. I mean, it was ridiculous. The whole thing is set up for ridiculousness. So,
No, I remember. I remember. And the height of AIDS and
yes, right. Not just that. It was there was all kinds of ideas that gay people couldn't keep a secret. It was stupid. It was so stupid. Just the same thing. They couldn't be married. They couldn't have kids, all that stuff, which is, again, gone now. But,
yeah, for now,
we'll
right?
see.
As you said, which
certainly can go
Gone for now. We'll see. That's a scary thought.
back easily.
terrifying.
They want it to go back. It's part of the many issues of rage these certain Republicans have over what's happened. And that's right up there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I admire so much about you is that you have sort of a confidence and self-possession in a way. And I think the best example of that is what I think of as the toast story. Will you tell it?
Sure. So one of the things I did when I was younger is I really, really wanted to work at the Washington Post, where I ended up working. But I went to Columbia Journalism School, and again, because I was gay, I didn't want to move to the South. That's where a lot of the jobs at newspapers were at the time. And I thought, I'm not going to live a furtive life. I just hated that idea because it's so debilitating to lie, right? Everybody knows that. It's the most debilitating thing.
Okay, I really want to emphasize this, what she just said. So already she went to journalism school, and wasn't her first choice, but she chose that. But then she said afterwards, most of the journalism opportunities were in the South. And she knew as a gay woman that she would not be safe to go. And she did not want to live a lie. I love that. How many of us have deconstructed a religion or a lifestyle because we've decided we don't want to live a lie? And how many of you have the strength and the power to say no, as Kara did, and then have to, again, pivot and find a different path? I love that she's sharing that.
And lie to yourself, most of all. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'll start at the top at the Washington Post, but I couldn't get a job. And so the job I got at the time during the Reagan administration was John McLaughlin. Now, I am very liberal, although different. I have different opinions about it because I want to be in the military. I want to be I want to serve.
Same,
quite
like
patriotic, right?
Very liberal certain
that's
ways.
Why it's so
and
ridiculous to put people in these
libertarian in others, and
it's so dumb to put people in boxes the way we have done now, unfortunately, to all of our detriments. And so I wanted to get into the media, and so I was offered this job at the McLaughlin Group. And he was he started Screaming Cable Television. He was the original.
Yeah, I remember.
And he had a show where it was like, issue 1, and then they argued. And it was so reductive and stupid, but actually compared to now, it was smart, right? Because he was a smart guy. And so they made public affairs shows like a wrestling match. That was his great insight. And it was a very popular show. And so he needed someone to write his column. He had a column that he wrote for, I forget, one of the magazines. And I ghost wrote it for him, essentially. And then he would.
Okay, I want to point that out too, because I think it's really important to realize that we're not on this planet alone. And that many times when you have people that are very successful, they have people. People have people. And when she mentions that she was a ghostwriter for this gentleman that had this very popular television show, how many people do we know that are successful authors? And they had a team of people that either they were ghost writers for the book, or they were very, very implemental in getting a book out with somebody else's name on the front. A lot of the presidents, and I would wager to guess that most of the Deseret book that you will find at Deseret Books, and if you're not a Mormon, you won't know what I'm talking about. But a lot of these people that have written their memoirs and things like that, they're not writers. They have ghostwriters. Sherry Dew, I think, has even admitted to this. But it's so important to understand that these people have been successful because they didn't do it alone. And so many of us think that we have to do it alone. And even if you're somebody that works independently, like let's say a stand-up comic, and you think, well, he writes his own stuff, he walks out on the stage, but a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time, the right connections. My brother, my uncle, my sister was dating. I mean, there's a lot of times where there's connections involved. And so we need to stop being hard on ourselves, thinking that we're not working hard enough. I think one of the worst things that we've told our youngsters is that if they work hard enough, they can have anything in this world. And that's not true. And I love that she talks about that.
Sign off on it and add different flourishes. And so I worked also on the show, on the insults, like, because, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being nuclear Armageddon, or just different things. I was good with words and I was good with insults. And so I wrote those. And
I like that she said she was good with insults. She has a snarky personality, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I love her so much.
During the time there, it turned out he was a really significant sexual harasser of the old school.
Yeah.
The chase around the desk type, kind of the obvious one, not the Pete Hegseth type, who was more rapey and creeper kind of thing. This guy was a creeper too, but much more of the old school, like, hey, honey, give me a kiss, that kind of thing. And very aggressive in that room, big guy. And he was that, and he was bothering a woman in the office, which I witnessed and testified against him later. But while I was there, he was also into controlling, whether it was where you were in the office. He'd follow you to the bathroom to
Are you
talking
serious?
to you. Of course, because he was crazy. He was like, control was, it's all about control, as you know. And so he would line people up by height and say dust ball, and someone had to get it under the couch. These were all Republicans. I was not, so I never did it. I was always at the end, though, because of the.
So what she says here, just to quicken this up, is he said to her, hey, I need for you, everyone in this office gets me my buttered toast. And if I ask you to get me my buttered toast, you will get that for me. And she said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And he said, if I ever ask you to get me my buttered toast and you say no, I will fire you. She said, that sounds great. And what happened then was he never asked her to get toast. So I love that story. Let me fast forward this a little bit to the main part that I wanted to show you.
Way you get access to other people's memories is if you store yours with them, so other people can see your memories.
Oh, interesting.
And so this, in part of the book, which was really interesting, I love this concept. And would you do it? Would you want to know those memories, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things is this one girl has a day, her favorite day with her dad, and she goes back and sees it, and she's like, oh, what a wonderful day. And then she accesses her father's memory, and it is not a happy day for him. And she sees him, what he thought of that day, which was not good.
Yeah.
And so that was devastating to her. Like, do you really want to know what people thought of things? I mean,
So interesting.
I don't know if you'd want to re-experience lots of things.
I don't want to derail us too much, but I had a really unique experience when we were filming a documentary on for the 20-year of the 20-year anniversary of the impeachment.
Right.
And the director of the doc had FOIA'd some video